First of all, I want to say good afternoon to each of you who I love dearly. The chamber is like my second family and my second home. But today I have an awesome task, and I was so honored and excited when I was asked to do this and to introduce our speaker for today. And after I met her, I said, what a lady. And when I met her, I thought what a dynamic role model she would be for our upcoming young executives that are trying, because they want a seat at the table, and she can certainly tell them how to get there. She's a trailblazer in the often male-dominated automotive industry. A native of New Orleans, New Jersey, she moved to Cayuga area in just 5 months ago when she joined Smith Automotive Group as their chief financial officer. Locally, Smith Automotive owned Nissan of Newnan. Prior to that, she spent 17 years with the Victory Automotive Group in Michigan and Virginia, in roles including regional and corporate controller, corporate auditor, and training specialist. She also served as CFO of Southeast Associates Management Group, owner of 5 dealerships in Alabama. She has been recognized in her industry as an 8-time winner of the Toyota Accounting Award for Excellence and served as Vice President of the Southeast Toyota Comptroller Association. She loves her job because it's different. Every day she has a different task and she has something else that she's doing. She loves it because she has an opportunity to mentor, as she's doing today, to our young people, our young ladies, teaching up and coming automotive professionals. Moving to Georgia has also been an opportunity for her to become closer to her son's family that's in Alabama, especially her 5-month-old granddaughter. And we know how we feel about our grandchildren. In her spare time, she enjoys gardening, kayaking, and photography. She has also spent time volunteering with groups ranging from the Humane Society to the American Heart, and serves on the board of directors of the YMCA in Florida. And already she has become an active member of the Newnan Cayuga Chamber. So today you see why I am so honored again to introduce and present Karen Kulinich, fondly known and called by Scott Smith, who you know, and her staff as KK. So KK, would you come?
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming today, and a special thank you to Madam President, Candace Boothby, for inviting me to share my story with you, and of course her team for putting this together. As a recent Newnan Cayuga County homeowner, I am very proud to call Newnan my new home. So the question becomes, how the heck did this Jersey Italian girl wind up in Newnan, Georgia? My journey of 36 years has taken me through 6 southern states and Puerto Rico to bring me to this destination, both physically and in my career. My deliberate choices and solid reputation are what have landed me in Newnan, Georgia, along with a bit of serendipity. On September 23rd of 1983, I received a phone call from the office manager at the dealership in Central Florida where my husband was general manager. Someone had walked out and she needed help fast. Our son had just started kindergarten and I had not gone back to work yet. When she asked me to come in and help, I said, I'll have to ask John, my husband. After telling me, you better be home by the time he gets off the bus, he gave me his permission to do it. A bit over a year later, John was terminated, and I went to the house and didn't go back to work. Solidarity, I guess. I'd been home about 2 weeks when the owner of the dealership, a woman, called and asked why I hadn't returned. I reminded her that they had terminated my husband, and she said, well, yes, but we didn't terminate you. She then explained to me that I had quite a bit of potential and if I would return, she promised me that she would make sure I learned every department in the dealership. And again, I said, I'll have to ask John, my husband. John just wanted me working, so once again, he gave me his permission. I went back to the dealership, and over the next 9.5 years, I learned and worked every desk and job in the dealership. I left only because the dealership was sold, leaving with the title of Parts Service and Accounting Director. Oh, and early on, I divorced John and set out on my path as a single mom. I cut my teeth in that dealership. I sold parts, I changed oil, I made deposits, I sold cars, I financed cars, and always as one of the only women in the dealership. Right after the dealership sold, I received a call from one of the finance companies we had done business with, telling me there was a dealer in Pensacola in trouble, and he needed someone like me, and would I interview with him? I didn't even know where Pensacola was. I flew up, and the dealer spoke to me for over 3 hours, and finally said, "So how much do you want?" And I was a bit taken aback, as he hadn't even offered me the position yet. And he then informed me that the finance company that referred me told him that I was the one he needed to hire. I was the best, and he did. That reputation had started to kick in. Over the course of the next 15 years or so, I worked for several auto dealers throughout the Southeast, all of them contacting me and offering me an opportunity to further my career. I mentioned earlier that I have lived in 6 southern states and Puerto Rico. That's where it gets interesting. My travels landed me in LA, or as it's lovingly called, Lower Alabama, working for a dealer there as CFO. I had moved from Virginia and was glad to be back in the warm weather. When I began with this particular dealer, he owned 2 dealerships. When I left, he had 5. Over the course of those 2+ years, I was a stressed out, hot mess. He enjoyed chaos. I did not. In late 2010, I finally took a vacation to Puerto Rico with a side trip to the small island of Vieques. We took a night kayak adventure. When I stepped off the ferry on the island, I immediately felt relaxed and peaceful. I just couldn't stop talking about it. So much so that the friend I was traveling with told me to either shut up or get a plan. So I did. I went back to Alabama. I quit my high-powered job, high-stress job. I sold almost everything I owned, and I moved to the small island of Vieques, Puerto Rico in early 2011. And I had no idea what I would do. Maybe open a B&B. But first, I was going to relax. Well, that didn't last long. About 4 weeks, one of my former dealers called, and he now had 25+ dealers, not the chaos guy, and wanted me to go audit a few of his stores in Tennessee. That trip was about 2 months back to the U.S., then to Puerto Rico for 4 weeks, and then he called again, and well, you get the picture. This went on back and forth from Puerto Rico to the U.S. for 3 years. In May of 2014, while still in Puerto Rico, a headhunter I had used while I was at my position in Alabama called and said she had a dealer in Atlanta looking for a CFO, and would I fly up and interview? Sure. And I'm thinking, I live on an island, Atlanta shopping, at minimum 2 days of fun, I'm all in. I had a great interview with Scott Smith. I nailed it. Unfortunately, his partner at the time told him he had already hired a CFO, so no job for me. Back to the island. On the plane ride back, I decided that at 59 years old, I should probably get myself back to the States permanently and make some money if I was ever going to think of retiring. So you guessed it. I sold almost everything I owned again and headed back to the U.S. No job, no car, no home when I landed in Atlanta Airport on July 14th of 2014. While working on my resume and staying with a friend in Alabama, my former dealer with the 25 plus stores called again and offered me a position as regional controller in the state of Tennessee. I had just spent 3 years traveling and was glad to only travel within Tennessee. Well, then it became North Carolina, Florida, and eventually 14 dealerships east of the Mississippi, and travel over 300 days a year. Tired, stressed, bad back, and a bit cranky. So, here's where the serendipity comes in. While selling one of those dealerships in all those days of travel, I met the CPA for the buyer of the other side. He was gushing, telling me how efficient I was, how I had all the information, and if I ever wanted to change positions, that his firm handled over 200 auto dealers and that I should definitely call him. And I'm like, yeah, great, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, nice to meet you, gotta go. Fast forward about 4 months. I had just been on the road 3 weeks, 3 cities, 8 plane rides, and I was very frustrated. And I went, I wonder if that CPA was serious. So I called. He immediately transferred my call to his partner, the head of the dealership division, who said that John had not stopped talking about me since the day he met me, and that based on his recommendation, he knew of 3 dealers right now that he would like to send my resume to. Well, I quickly informed him that I was a Southern girl, kind of, and preferred to stay in the Southeast. He then said he knew a dealer in Atlanta that owned several dealerships that was looking for a CFO, and his name was Scott Smith. And he would send my resume to him. It kind of rang a bell, but it hadn't hit me yet. Monday rolls around, my cell phone rings, and it was Scott Smith, calling from Scotland, where he was attending a Nissan Dealer Advisory Board meeting where he holds the position of vice chairman. He had been reviewing my resume when he saw Puerto Rico, and it kind of rang a bell. Then the dealer sitting next to him looked over, saw my resume, and said, "Are you talking to KK? You need to hire her. She's the best." This dealer had worked with me several years ago in Virginia and was now the owner and dealer of 2 Nissan stores. During the phone call, Scott and I both remembered our interview in 2014 and set up a date to meet in Atlanta. And as they say, the rest is history. Throughout my career, I have worked for several auto dealers. On a few occasions, I have put out a feeler, like contacting the CPA last year, but mostly the dealers have found me. I know for certain that my trajectory in this male-dominated industry has been based on my integrity and my reputation. The dealer with 25 plus dealerships now has over 47. I worked for him for a total of 16 years throughout my career. When we would have quarterly dealer group meetings, he enjoyed speaking about his tenured employees. And believe me, in the car business, anything over 5 years is tenured. He would say, "There's KK. She's been with me a long time. She can be like a bull in a china shop, but she always gets it done." That is why he always called me for 16 years. That was the reputation I had built with that dealer. It isn't just my reputation, but the reputation of those I have deliberately chosen to work with. When I found myself in a position that did not align with my integrity, I made a deliberate decision to seek other employment so as not to damage the reputation I have worked so diligently all these years to build. And on that note, I have a little funny story. In 1998, I got married for a 3rd time. And the name of the man that I married was Gross. No, literally Gross. Gross. And I did not take his name. I was very concerned that the contacts and reputation I had built in the automotive world would not recognize or pick up the phone for Karen Gross, as the reputation I had built was Karen Kalinich and Karen K. Good thing, because I would have had to change it back 15 months later. I believe that today we have to think more about reputation management than ever before. We have to be conscious of how we present ourselves both personally and professionally, as well as the minefield of social media, as all of you know. I feel certain that if we create a great impression in real life, we can then utilize that to create a strong reputation in our business and personal lives. Building that reputation is not only about showing up, working hard, and getting the job done. It has many more moving parts than that. Reputation management affects all areas of our lives. With our kids, are you the mom that forgets the cupcakes or always shows up late? With our friends, are you the friend that remembers birthdays or the one that never answers the phone? With our workmates, are you the team member that skids right up or even past the deadline of a project? And with family, are you the one that promises to bring 2 desserts to the holiday dinner for 15 people and then shows up with 2 bags of cookies? Our word must be our bond. If you say you will do something, call someone, send an email, then do it. Be the person everyone knows they can count on. That builds your reputation. Be helpful. Be a mentor to a friend, to a coworker, to your niece or nephew. It feels good to know that if you helped someone move closer to their goals, that builds their reputation and yours. You should always go above and beyond and do more than is expected of you whenever you can. Early in my career in Florida, as I was learning all the different jobs in the dealership, I always wanted to do more, and I never asked about a raise or a promotion, but it all came. I was building the blocks of a reputation that said I was a very hard worker and eager to learn. I realized early on in this industry that if I was going to be taken seriously, I needed to conduct myself so that the male-female lines disappeared, and I was regarded as a coworker, manager, CFO, and not that woman in the office. I did this by always carrying myself in a confident manner, even when I didn't feel so confident, dressing as a business person, except when I was changing oil. And if I needed to have a meltdown, which I did, it was always there where no one could see me. I had to build that reputation of strength. I pride myself in my consistency. My executive team members that are here with me today from Smith Automotive Group, as well as our accounting team at the dealership, will tell you, I am tough. I am intense. I am fair. And I am very serious about what I do. But I am never mean, I am never malicious, and I am never unkind. Day in and day out, always the same. They count on me to be consistent. That is my reputation. Although we have technology at our fingertips, we still rely heavily on word of mouth to tell us about the new restaurant down the street, the referral for a plumber, or that new dentist or new hairdresser when we move to a new town. We want to know their reputation. Nowhere is that more important than in the auto industry, where our customers grade us on each new car delivery and service visit. We live and die in the auto industry on our reputation. In 2010, after more than 18 years, I was fortunate to be able to speak with Isla Sloman, the female dealer in Florida who gave me my start by making sure I learned every department in the dealership. It was important to me that she know how grateful I was and how my career had turned out, thanks to her guidance. She said, "Good to hear from you, but I've already heard about your career. Your reputation has preceded you." Ladies, your actions plus what others say about you equals your reputation. This small formula is the most powerful leverage you have in business and in life. Build a reputation that your future self will be proud of. Thank you.